videos?
Yes, Prabhuji, just starting in 1 minute.
Sure. Thank you, Smita, for starting the video. Abhijit will be joining us in some time. So before reading our scriptures, we just do a small prayer to Lord Sri Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो
Om
Om
भगवते
Namo
वासुदेवाय
Vasudevaya.
Vasudeva.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
नमो भगवते
Bhagavate
वासुदेवाय
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om
नमो
Bhagavate
Namo
भगवते
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय
Okay. So today we will discuss. Last time we had read the first verse of Bhagavad Gita. And does anyone remember who spoke that verse?
Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra. Okay. And when someone speaks the verse in Bhagavad Gita, what is written in Sanskrit? The
Watch.
word which is
Uvacha.
Uvacha. Yeah. So
Uvacha.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Yeah. So we read the first verse. We also read the way Bhagavad Gita is recited because it's written in shlokas. Shlokas are verses which are uh, which have a meter in which the recitation is done just like a poetry or a song. So we have different sections in the whole verse, in the whole shloka, A, B, C, and D. So we saw that. We'll just quickly have a look at that before we move on to understand the position of Bhagavad Gita. I will share my screen with you and we will read that verse again just so that we know what is the meter of a shloka or a verse in Bhagavad Gita. So you would have already seen the link which has been sent in the WhatsApp group for the Bhagavad Gita book. You can hit that link and open chapter 1, verse 1. Once you are there, please let me know. It looks like this.
प्रभु जी भी आते
Okay, everyone. Jay, were you able to open the link? Yeah,
Yes, I was.
perfect. Okay. All right. Yes, Naisha is saying something. You can unmute yourself, Naisha.
Sorry, I said everything. Okay.
Yes.
I'm saying I think I'm doing when I opened that link, it's showing in chapter 1 observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
So
I
you are
can't
here.
find the
So you can
so am
see
I on
here.
the same one?
So you see my screen.
Yeah,
You are
yeah,
here,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
click that,
Uh-huh.
it will open all the verses. You have to go to text 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay,
Text one. Oh, yes, yes. Got it. I'm here. Thank you, Prabhuji.
no problem. So we will read this verse and try to understand again the A, B, C, D, which are which are recited in that meter. So Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Please repeat after me.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha.
So the first meter uh, ends here that I've highlighted that. So we will recite that, which is A of the verse. Dharam Kshetre Kurukshetre
Dharmashetre
धर्म क्षेत्रे
Kurukshetre
कुरुक्षेत्रे
Kurukshetre
Samaveta
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 Yuyotsava
Yutsava
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः
पाण्डवाश्चैव
किम् अकुर्वत सञ्जय
किम् अकुर्वत सञ्जय.
Now, if someone doesn't know how to read the Devanagari script, there is English right below that, so you can read that. We'll just go one round with everyone just to see if everyone is comfortable reciting the first verse of Bhagavad Gita. Starting with what I see on the screen of mine, I see first row is Abhijit, Kalpesh, and Manisha and Vikas. So if we can start with Abhijit and then Kalpesh and then Manisha and Vikas, please.
Okay. Shall I start?
Yeah, and we will recite after you. So once you say that, we will follow you.
Okay. धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुत्सवः
समवेतायुत्सवः
ममकः पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय. Sorry, I think I missed
No,
the
that's
meter.
okay. No, that's okay. Well, very well done. Thank you, Abhijit.
Thank you.
Yes. Next, Kalpesh.
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
Dhritarashtra
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुत्सव
समवेतायुत्सवः
मामका पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय.
Thank you, Kalpesh. Next, Manisha and Vikas, would you like to read?
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
Dhritarashtra
उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे
कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुयुत्सव
समवेतायुत्सवः
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय.
Vikas, would you like to read? I will recite.
Yeah. धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुत्सवः
मामका पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय.
Rishi.
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुयुत्सवः
समवेतायुत्सवः
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय.
Jay, would you like to try?
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुयुत्सव
समवेतायुत्सवः
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः
पाण्डवाश्चैव
किम कुर्वत सञ्जय
किम कुर्वत
कुर्वत
सञ्जय
सञ्जय
Thank you, Jay. Prashant.
Hello.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yep. धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे
कुरुक्षेत्रे
कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुयुत्सवा
समवेतायुयुत्सवः
मकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः
पाण्डवाश्चैव
पाण्डवाश्चैव
किमकुर्वत सञ्जय
किम
किं
कुर्वत
कुर्वत
सञ्जय
सञ्जय
Naisha. Can you hear us, Naisha?
Yeah, I can hear. Sorry, it's my turn.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्र कुरुक्षेत्र
धर्मक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे
कुरुक्षेत्रे
कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुयुत्सवः
समवेतायुयुत्सवः
मामका पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः
पाण्डवाश्चैव
किं कुर्वत सञ्जय
किम
किम
कुर्वत
कुर्वत
सञ्जय
Naisha.
Thank you.
Smita.
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र
उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
सामवेतायुयुत्सवः
समवेतायुयुत्सवः
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत सञ्जय
किम
Thank you. Tina.
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र
उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुयुत्सवः
समवेतायुयुत्सवः
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव
किं कृत्वा सञ्जय
किम कुर्वत सञ्जय
Last is Kamakshi.
जी प्रभुजी धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुयुत्सव
समवेतायुयुत्सवः
मम का पाण्डवाश्च
पाण्डवाश्चैव
किं कुर्वत सञ्जय
किम कुर्वत सञ्जय
सञ्जय
Now, we have read this verse about 9
18
10 times. Yeah. About 9 10 times, yes?
10
About 10 times. Can
sorry
someone,
11
okay, 11 times. Will someone be able to recite this verse without looking at the book?
At least half of it I can do it.
Who's that?
Manisha.
Yes, Manisha, try it.
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
Very good. Vikas.
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सव मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत सञ्जय
Very nice. So wonderful, Manisha. So you see, if you read it for 11 times, you'll be able to memorize it.
And
So
even it's like helping to understand the meaning as well
yeah.
without knowing it. Yeah.
So if you read the meaning now, so Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dhritarashtra said that he's asking Sanjay. Sanjay is sitting there. So Sanjay is the storyteller basically. He's viewing everything on the Mahabharat field, on the battle of Mahabharat. He's seeing everything at Kurukshetra, and he's replying to uh, Dhritarashtra as well as giving him the live telecast or live commentary of what he's saying. O Sanjay, after my sons and sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So we have discussed this in detail in our last discussion last week. Now today we will try to see, we will further read the verses of Bhagavad Gita moving forward, but just to have the position of Bhagavad Gita in our scriptures. So one is that it is a part of Mahabharata. Anyone knows um, which part of Mahabharata it is? Anyone remembers? I think we discussed last time. Anyone would
Bhishma
like to answer?
Parva.
Bhishma Parva. Chapters, do you remember the chapters?
25 to 42.
Very good. So inclusive of 25 and 42, it makes it 18 chapters. So these 18 chapters from Mahabharata Bhishma Parva are Bhagavad Gita. So now Mahabharata is a part of a whole set of scriptures, which we have. We have many scriptures like Ramayana, Mahabharata. We have Veda, Puran. Uh, we have Samhitas. We have Aranyakas. We have so many things. Now, to understand the position of what we are reading and the position of these scriptures um, in our spiritual life, it is very important to understand the whole structure of these scriptures. So I thought I will just discuss this today with you so that you understand the whole, basically the flow chart or the structure of our um, scriptures. Will that be a good topic to discuss, every one of you?
Yes.
Yeah,
That will be
Yes,
really
sir.
good to know, actually.
yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So we'll
yes.
start from the beginning. We'll just start from the beginning saying what are the systems of philosophy, basically Indian systems of philosophy. So what we are studying is nothing but we are studying our scriptures to understand the philosophy and how to apply that in our real life. That is the purpose why we read these scriptures, especially the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, so that how we can take things from it, aspects from it, and apply it in our life. So that's why it is called philosophy, which is discussed and then applied in our daily life if we understand it uh, in the right context. So there are 6 systems of philosophy. I'll share my um, screen with you. So these are the major 6 systems of philosophy, Indian systems of philosophy. So these are Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva, and Uttara. 6. Now these 6 philosophies are actually they are propounded by someone. These are the 6 different rishis who have propounded this. So Nyaya was propounded by Gautam Rishi. If you have heard about these names of these rishis, which will be, you might have, so you will be able to relate them with the philosophies which we are discussing about. So Nyaya. Then there is Vaisheshika. We'll discuss about them slowly and progress on that. Vaisheshika, which was propounded by Kannada Rishi. Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya basically means analysis. Nyaya relates to logic. And also Nyaya will relate to law as well. But in Vedic terms, it is, in scriptural terms, it is known as the logic. Vaisheshika, we will discuss soon. Yoga was propounded by Patanjali. So that is another philosophy. Yoga, the meaning we had discussed last time. Does anyone remember the meaning of yoga?
To connect.
To connect. It comes from the word yujna in Sanskrit, which means
Prabhuji,
yes.
is this a name of Rishi or is the concept like Patanjali is the name of Rishi or what actually?
Patanjali is the name of a rishi.
Okay.
Patanjali Rishi. Yeah.
Okay.
So the 6 systems of philosophy, these are all rishis.
Okay.
Gautam Rishi, Kannada Rishi, Kapila Rishi, and Patanjali. So the word which you hear, the Patanjali,
Yeah.
product which you hear, that is deriving, that's the name of the rishi.
Okay.
Yeah. And the philosophy he propounded was yoga. Purva Mimamsa is another philosophy which is propounded by Jaimini Rishi. And we have Uttar Mimamsa, which was propounded by Vyasa. Vyasa is no one but Vyasa Muni.
Yes, Muni.
Okay. These are the main 6 systems of philosophy. Now, this is basically the Indian thought, as we say, or the philosophy. And these are further divided into multiple things. But we will be focusing on one aspect of it, which our scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, which is a part of, will be relating to. There is also a thought, the 7th, which we did not discuss here, is also by Vyas Muni, which is Vedanta. Okay, so as we see here, I'll share my screen again with you. So these 6 philosophies have also, they have a after the Uttar Mimamsa, there is something called as Vedanta. Now Vedanta is further divided into multiple schools of thought. That's different schools of thought, but these are the other systems of philosophy apart from Vedanta. I'll move on to the next slide, which will explain this Indian thought. Okay, now before I move to the next one, I just wanted to ask a question to every one of you. Do you know, you might have heard these words, Astik and Nastik. Can someone elaborate on the meaning of these two terms? We can go one round to everyone.
Believer and non-believer.
Sorry, who's that? Would someone like to answer?
It's believer of God and follower is like non-believing of God.
Okay, so believer of
Concept
God, as you say, believer of God is Astik.
Astik.
Okay, and
Like
non-believers.
an atheist, whom we say.
Atheist. Okay. Anyone else? Or if it's the same answer which everyone would like to.
Yeah, for me it's the same answer.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else who has a different answer than this?
Maybe is astic is maybe it came from astha, which is positivity, positive and negative.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So, okay. I see everyone is switched off their videos for some reason. Do you want a break? Question?
No.
Does anyone
We can
need a
switch it
break?
on. No,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. Good. So please switch on your videos. Otherwise, I think you're gone for a break. That's what my assumption would be. Because I do that when I switch off my video. If I'm not here, I normally go. Yeah. Okay.
I was on video, Prabhuji. I thought everyone turned it off, so that's the way.
No. No. So when I'll share my screen with you, that's the time only I'll be not me. Otherwise, I will be on with my video, and I will request everyone to be so that we know that yes, everyone is in the discussion. Okay. So I'll move on to the next. Someone has sent it. Okay, Jay has said that he has some problem with his video, which is fine. Okay, if there are issues, that's fine. Thank you.
You got it.
Okay, but if you don't have any issues, please turn on the video. All right, so we will move on to the next discussion with an extension to this 6 systems of philosophy, including Vedanta. So we will understand this now. I'll
Yeah.
share my screen with you. So I'll give you the answer to Astik and Nastik. Astika means who has faith in Vedas or scriptures. And Nastik means who has no faith in Vedas or no faith in the scriptures or
So
Shastras.
it's purposely in Vedas only.
Vedas, by Vedas I mean Shastra. So all the
Shastras.
Shastras, Veda, Purana,
Yeah.
all the sections of our scriptures which we
Shastra.
have. If someone does not have faith in the scriptures, is called a Nastika. So if you see the different philosophies, which we discussed just now, Sankhya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, Yoga, Nyaya, they are 6 major philosophies, as we discussed. Mimamsa is written as one, Purva and Uttara together, which we discussed earlier. So these are the 6 philosophies. Vedanta is the conclusion. That is why it is called Anta. Anta, if you translate, the meaning of Anta is the end. So Veda Anta. So these are all the part of Vedas or the scriptures. And the Anta of the Veda is called Vedanta. So if you read all the scriptures, all the philosophies from different rishis, if you read all of that, and if you read only Vedanta, it will be the same. So that is why Vedantic studies are considered to be the topmost. And someone who does not believe in the scriptures or the Vedas, or the Nastika who had no faith in Vedas, so these are these religions which do not have faith in the Vedas. They refute the Vedas. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
I've
please.
just made it bigger.
Oh.
So these are the faiths which have no faith in Vedas, no faith in the scriptures. So it's Buddhism, Jainism, Charvakism. Charvakism is not that popular in terms of today's world, but there are people who follow Charvakism. Okay.
So
Any
it's
questions?
nothing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
So
please.
it's not like we used to say he's Nastik or Astik. It doesn't mean God believer. It does
No.
mean the Shastra or Vedas
Correct.
believer
Correct.
person. Okay.
Correct.
So one more bit silly question. So is it Nastik or Astik just for who believes in Vedas? But so these two words can't be used for rest places?
Rest places.
Like who believes in different spiritual activities or different dharmas or different scriptures?
Scriptures are either Vedantic or they are the philosophies which we discussed. These are the scriptures as per the Sanatan Dharma.
Okay.
Other scriptures which we talk about, which other scriptures are you talking about apart from these?
Maybe different like Bible or
Okay.
different or
Yeah.
Quran.
Yeah. So
So
Bible
such
and
what?
Quran. So if you date them back,
Uh-huh.
those scriptures are about 1000 or 1500 years old scriptures.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
So um, these scriptures we are talking about, they are about Bhagavad Gita is said to be 5500 years old.
Hmm.
So these are
Okay.
the manuscripts of these scriptures were actually pretty old, older than 5500 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So there were scriptures which were written on leaves as well.
Oh, yes.
So they were
Prabhuji,
before paper. Yeah, yeah,
one more question.
yeah.
While discussing all these things, somebody told us that these Vedas came from rishis for sure. But a rishi, suppose you said like they wrote on leaf, and then second rishi came, they like initiated, he got some thoughts, and then he put on paper. Then somebody came, and then he wrote on different paper. So it's like whosoever got thoughts, so they used to put on notes. So
No,
is
no,
it true or
no. It's not like that. No, no, no. We will
okay?
discuss that in our next slide. We will understand this very clearly
Mhm.
in terms of how the flow goes. So what we are talking about is different philosophies here.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is not anything to do with the writings at the moment.
yeah.
So here we're talking about the philosophy. So these are the thoughts which are coming from the rishis, of course.
Hmm.
And Vyasamuni is considered to be the incarnation of the Lord himself. So when we talk about these rishis are just not rishis. They are also great thinkers and philosophers and also self-realized souls. So when Vyasamuni is writing all the scriptures, so he has written 4 Vedas, 18 Puranas, 108 Upanishads. He has written mammoth of tasks. So it is not possible for a human being to write all these, so many scriptures in one lifetime. So there has to be some empowerment, and that is why they are considered, especially Vyasamuni is considered to be a direct incarnation of the Lord himself.
Hmm.
So that's why Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Puran, all these scriptures, they are not considered to be myths. They are considered to be real.
Hmm.
And the aspects and the details given in that, they are still found, found and discovered slowly by our archaeologists and other people. They're also trying to find things, and they're discovering slowly and slowly what is written is true. And these scriptures are written long way back, thousands of years ago. Okay, so these are the philosophies. We'll come to the writings shortly.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Did I answer your question, Or did I confuse you more?
I got the answer that we'll discuss later on. The writing.
I'll share my screen with you all again to just explain the Vedanta. So Vedanta is further divided into two thoughts, which is Advaita and Dvaita. Please let me know if it gets too technical for you guys. I will make it lighter. We can take some story. Okay. So Advaita and Dvaita. Anyone knows what does this mean? Advaita. So Advaita means that there is no duality between the soul and the supreme. Advaita. So there is no two. So Advaita means that I am and the God, we are one. We are not two. Does it make sense? Advaita. So not two. It means non-dual. Advaita. Second one is, yes, anyone? Okay. Second one is Dvaita. Can someone guess what is Dvaita?
Dual.
So what does dual mean?
So soul and supreme. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. Who was speaking before? Naisha, were you saying something?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Who was speaking before? Kamakshi?
Manisha.
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 Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to locate you. Where are you? Oh. Okay. 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 That light I can see there. Yes, that is there. All right. That is Manisha. Okay, I found it. The ceiling light. Yes, is Manisha. Okay, got it. I could locate. Can anyone else locate Manisha? All right. Yes, please carry on, Manisha. Dvaita.
Theory between the divine and materialistic world.
Okay. So that is non-dual.
Dual. Or
Okay, that is dual.
Advaita, you can call it as a duality or dualism.
Okay, what is non-duality then? What is Advaita?
A single entity.
Single entity. So single entity meaning which single entity?
Maybe the God.
Sorry?
The God.
The God is only one. And who are
Yeah.
we? Okay, so I'll just repeat that thing again. Advaita means non-dual. That means I means myself, Jiva, and the Supreme, that is the God or the Lord, whoever you think it is, we are one and the same. We are not two people, we're just one. That is called Advaita. That is the thought. Dvaita means I, the Jiva, and the God, we are two different entities, two different people. Does this make sense? Yes?
Yep. Yep.
So that is Advaita and Dvaita. I'll share my screen again. But what philosophy are we trying to achieve is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. That is what we are trying to achieve. That is also a philosophy, which means that we are one. It reconciles both Advaita and Dvaita. It says that we are simultaneous, inconceivable oneness, and we are different. So, is the Atma and the Paramatma same? It is yes and it is no. But we will understand this later. But this is what the corrected philosophy or the conclusive philosophy, and that is also explained in Bhagavad Gita further, that we are one
Prabhuji,
and we are different. Yes, Shintan?
sorry, would you please brief little bit more on this point? I missed little bit.
Okay. So there are two philosophies,
Yeah, the
Advaita
Advaita.
and Dvaita. You understood this?
Yeah. I understood that.
Now, when we reconcile these two,
Okay.
that is, we are one as well as we are different. That is called Achintya Bhed Abhed.
Oh, yeah, this one.
Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva. So we are one and we are different.
Yeah.
So the understanding is that we are identical to the Supreme or the God, yes, but
Hmm.
in quality, not in quantity. That makes him different to us. So I and the God are identical, but only in quality, but not in quantity. So for example, if there is water from the sea,
Hmm.
the chemical properties of that water from the sea in a bucket would be same as that of the sea, but quantitatively there are different.
Oh, I understood now, Prabhuji.
So that is
Yeah.
what Achintya Bheda Abheda means, that we are one as well as we are different.
Beautiful example.
So uh, can I see the people who have gone out for a break? Rishi, Kamakshi, and Aditi, are you back?
Yes, Prabhuji. I'm here only.
Okay, okay. Are you able to start your video by any chance? And Aditi as well?
2 minutes.
Prabhuji, I'm
Okay. All right. I'll wait. No problem. You can start. So everyone understood what is Achintya Bheda Abheda?
Yes.
Any questions or comments on this one?
No,
No,
Prabhuji.
that was very good. Perfect.
Manisha, did you understand this Advaita, Dvaita, and Achintya Bheda
Yes,
Abheda?
yes, very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now we will go further into this Vedantic philosophy because this is where we are trying to understand a bit more. So you understand now what are these? Why they do not read the scriptures? Why they do not read Bhagavad Gita? Why they
Because I
don't?
don't believe in Vedas.
Correct. Correct.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So I'll stop sharing now, and we will further elaborate a bit more on the Vedantic thought.
Prabhuji, question.
Yes. Yes, Rishi.
So we say the Buddhism, Jainism, Charvakism don't believe in Shastras. What do they believe in?
Yes. Okay. So they do not believe in the Shastra or the Veda. They believe in consciousness. There is energy. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I know. I haven't drilled much further, but that is the gist of their understanding, that there is consciousness. Everyone is conscious. And that's where, Lord Buddha, who came up that I was sleeping, now I'm awake. That I'm conscious. I came to know that I'm conscious. So that's what his final conclusion was. That if we meditate or we do the process, then we come to know that we are conscious, that we have this energy inside us, and we understand ourselves within, that we have this energy.
Okay, but are we also not saying through the medium of Shastra that the supreme entity is also an energy? It is an energy, right? The energy that is running the whole universe.
That we will understand while reading Bhagavad Gita. That is the reason of our study, to understand the Supreme.
Okay, but very broadly, like they are also saying that there's some energy. We are all manifestations of the energy.
No, Bhagavad Gita is not just saying that it is energy.
Okay, there is more to it than that. So that
There is a
is.
lots more to it. Yeah.
So then, in that
I
way,
think the
isn't
people on the break are having some snacks as well.
Yeah, someone is eating.
I would like to know the snacks name. Okay, no problem. Maybe that is the reason why one doesn't want to be on the video. That's fair
Correct.
enough.
Yeah, yeah. Continue, sir.
Okay. All right. So Rishi, just to answer your question,
Hmm.
just to extend it a little further. So energy will be discussed, and the energetic will also be discussed. So if there is any energy, Shastra says that there has to be some energetic. So if there is a software, there will be a software programmer behind it. If
Yeah.
there is light, if there is electricity, there will be electricity supplier behind it.
Correct.
So if there is an energy, there will be an energetic. And that is a person who is giving that energy. And that is where Bhagavad Gita comes into picture.
Okay. But in that sense, then Buddhism or these three aren't they a subset in a way? So they've reached a part of it. They're saying, okay, there is the energy. They've not reached the energetic. So instead of saying that they are a separate thing which is followed by Gnostics, isn't that
Okay.
actually a subset?
No. So it is not followed by Gnostics. The concept is Gnostic.
Okay.
Okay. So it is not a person who is Gnostic. It is the philosophy which is Gnostic. It's a Nastika philosophy. The problem is that Nastika has become a non-acceptable word in our ears for some reason. That's why we take it in a negative way. Don't take it in a negative. Nastika doesn't mean negative.
No, I'm
Okay?
not taking negative. Just trying to
No.
understand.
Yeah. I'm saying just to say that because we have a negative feeling about Nastika, but it has to be seen as a philosophy. So Nastika philosophy and Astika philosophy. So they come under that sect. So nothing wrong in that, in saying that yes, Nastika people follow that. That is also correct. But the philosophy itself is Nastika because it is not following the Shastra.
Okay.
Yeah. It is
Understood. Thank
so
you.
a person may be believing in God but not believing in the Shastras.
Could be a Nastic. Could be a Nastic.
He could be a Nastic.
That's true.
But
That's
it
what I was
doesn't.
coming to. That was I
Yeah.
was coming to. Though we are part of, or may not be a part of Buddhism and all other Christianism or other any other religion, there could be a person believe in a Nastika.
Correct. He
Okay.
could be believing in God, but he could be a Nastika. He would not be believing in the Shastras. But that is a choice. That is your choice. Whether you
Got
believe it.
it.
That is the base of our study. So when we are studying Bhagavad Gita, if we study Bhagavad Gita without having faith in Bhagavad Gita, then there is no point in studying. Then it will be just reading. We will not accept it, we will not be convinced, and we will not practice it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the Vedanta philosophy, it has three primary sources of authority. This is further down from Vedanta, which is called Prasthanatraya. And that Prasthanatraya is Shruti, Smriti, and Nyaya. So this is another Nyaya. So here it comes the multivalence words. Does anyone know what are multivalence words? Multivalence words are words which sound same, but the meaning changes with the context. So we had 6 philosophies in the beginning. Just share my screen. Which was Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva, and Uttar Mimamsa. And we had Vedanta. Vedanta has 3 further sources of authority, or 3 foundations, which are called Prasthanatraya. They are Shruti, Smriti, and Nyaya. But here Nyaya is different to what that Nyaya is. Here Nyaya is defining Vedanta Sutra. Okay, just for your understanding. So Shruti means something which is heard. So something which is heard and then written is called Shruti. Smriti is something which is remembered. So Shruti, Smriti, and Nyaya. So these are the 3 main sects from Vedantic studies. Now,
what is a Nyaya mean here?
Vedanta Sutra, or the logic, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. And the previous Nyaya was law. Okay. So Shruti, Smriti, and Nyaya. So these are the 3 parts of Vedantic studies, or the 3 pillars. So Shruti has the Vedas in it. All the Vedas are in Shruti. Anyone knows what are the 4 Vedas? I'll give you. There are 4 Vedas.
Yajurveda,
Yajurveda,
Samveda,
Samveda,
Veda.
Rigved.
Yajurveda,
yeah,
Yajurveda, Samveda,
Yajurveda, Samveda.
Samveda. Good. So 4 Vedas, they come under Shruti of the Vedantic studies. So under Vedanta, you have Shruti, and Shruti has 4 Vedas. Okay. Now the next is Smriti. Smriti has the Puranas. Anyone knows how many Puranas are there?
150?
118.
No. There are 18 Puranas. 1-8. Okay. So these 18 Puranas divided into 3 different sections. 6 each. Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, Shiva. So Shiv Purana, Vishnu Purana, Brahma Purana. 6 each.
Prabhuji, do you have a screen, some presentation of
No,
this? So,
I don't have a slide for this one, unfortunately, amidst of making it. So yeah, next time I can share. But for your understanding, you can have this. So Shruti has 4 Vedas. Smriti has 18 Puranas. 18 Puranas are divided into 3 different sections: Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So 3 different, 6 each. What I will do, I will click a picture and I will send you, so that from my notebook. That's the best way, I think, so that you don't have to write the whole thing.
Writing will help with Smriti.
Sorry?
I said writing will help with Smriti.
Yeah, maybe, yes. You're right. I'll just try to find something to scan quickly and send it to you. Yeah, I think it's done. Let me just check. Yeah, I think I have a good copy. I'll just forward it to you guys now. Sorry. Here it is, Bhagavad Gita Savior. Next. Okay, are you able to see that?
yep. Yep, we have it. That's lots of it.
Is it clear? Sorry about my handwriting.
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
Okay, everyone got that?
Yep.
Okay, so these are the different Prasthanatraya, the 3 primary sources of authority: Shruti, Smriti, and Nyaya. So Smriti, which is remembered after hearing, recollected, and explained, that's called Smriti. And in that Smriti, we have Puranas, Itihasas, and Pancharatras. If you can refer to that slide, which I've sent you. Puranas, 18 Puranas. It has Upapuranas, Thala Puranas, Mahatmayas, etc. Don't worry about that. There are too many. Itihasas, histories. So it has Ramayana and Mahabharata. So it is under Smriti. But if you see that it is also Shruti, because Krishna spoke it to Arjun. So it is also spoken. So it's a Shruti as well, heard by Arjun. Does this make sense? Okay, we have some new entries. I think Monisha and Kamakshi. Kamakshi was already there, but I think she's still on a break. And Monisha has joined us.
I'm here only,
Okay,
Prabhuji.
okay. I thought because your video was off, that's why.
No, no.
Okay, okay. Monisha, are you okay to start your video? All right. Are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
This is Manisha actually. My old phone died, so this started with my.
Okay, okay, okay. I thought a different person came in. Sorry.
No.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's why it's good to see people. Otherwise we miss who's coming and going. Thanks, Manisha. Okay, so now if you see the position of Mahabharat, where is the position of Mahabharat in that where I've sent you? Mahabharat position is under Itihasas, which is under Smriti. But if you see, Krishna spoke the words to Arjuna and he heard it. So it is also a Shruti. So Bhagavad Gita has a very special position in the Shastra. So it is a Shruti inside a Smriti. Do you understand this?
Yeah.
Anyone who has not understood this logic?
No.
Sutra? Didn't
What
understand?
you said, what you said,
Okay.
Shruti and the Smriti, that didn't understand what is mean by.
Okay. So I have sent you a slide, a PDF just now on WhatsApp. If you have a look at that,
Okay.
so you will see the position of Mahabharat in it.
It is under Ityasa.
Correct? And Itihas is under Smriti.
Smriti.
Correct? So
Yes.
Mahabharat is under Itihas and Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharat. Correct?
Right.
So if we go according to that flow chart, Bhagavad Gita would be Smriti.
Right.
Correct? But
Right.
if Bhagavad Gita is considered by itself, Krishna spoke the words directly to Arjun.
Right.
So it is Shruti, it is heard directly.
Yeah.
It's Krishna's
Right.
words.
Yes.
So it becomes a Shruti also.
Okay. That way. That
So
sense.
that way it is a Shruti inside a Smriti. It
Okay.
means Bhagavad Gita is a Shruti inside the Mahabharat, which is a Smriti.
Got it.
Okay. So by theory, if you see the flow chart, it's a Smriti because it is under Mahabharat and under Itihasa and under all that, the whole chain. It is a Shruti by itself because it is heard directly, but that is the words of Krishna directly. So that concludes our understanding of the structure of the philosophy, Vedanta, Sthanatraya, Veda, Purana, Itihasa, Mahabharata, and Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so we'll end our discussion here, but I'm open to any comments or questions on whatever we discussed today.
Was Vyas Muni the writer of all the
Vedas,
Upanishads?
Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam, Upanishads, everything.
So everything
Okay.
was written by Vyas Muni.
Everything.
And
This is
and
just a
and
brief. So there are further sub Puranas also, which are called Upapurana also, Aranyakas also. There are so many Shastras.
so Vyas Muni was in time of Mahabharata, and some of the Puranas believe that they were way before Mahabharata.
Yeah.
So how
So
come Vyas Muni has written?
Itihasas like Ramayana was written by Valmiki. So that was before. But Vedas, the Puranas, and the others, they were written by. So if you see, if you go a little deeper into this topic, it is said that these all the Shastras can be heard today also. There is a Shruti as well. So anyone who is at that level of consciousness can hear all these Shastras and can write it down. Now also, if he is at that level. So Vyasa Muni in his times was a very deep philosopher, a very highly elevated soul who could do all this compilation of all the Shastras together and write it down. So even if you see Ramayana was written by Valmiki, and there is Ramcharitmanas, which is written by Tulsidas. So there are two authors basically. You can say that. But Vyasa Muni did not write Ramayana. It was always Valmiki. But the Vedas and the Puranas, they were all, Vedas were always there, even before Vyasamuni appeared. But he wrote them. So now we will say, how did he hear it? So hearing is because there are Vedas which are constantly recited and they are in our Brahmand, always being, and can be heard now also.
Okay. And the writing was done by Ganpati, like for the Bhagavad Gita,
For Mahabharat.
for Mahabharat. Okay.
Yes, yes.
What was the
Because,
story behind that Ekadanta Prabhu?
okay, so that was because Ganeshji had a very good handwriting,
Mm.
and Vyas Muni was a very deep philosopher and thinker. So he would constantly he will recite. So all these verses he could recite, but he could not write that fast. So he wanted someone with a very good handwriting to write down. In a very nice, beautiful handwriting, he wanted to write these shastras. So someone suggested that Ganeshji has a fantastic handwriting. So he approached him to write Mahabharat for him. So when he went to Ganeshji, Ganeshji said that I will write it for you, but there is one condition, that you don't have to stop. There should not be any pause. Okay? There should not be any breaks. Yeah. Unlike us, when we switch off and we go and take breaks. So there were no breaks in Mahabharata. So he said, okay, there won't be any breaks. But Vyasamuni said, I have a condition to Ganpati. He said, what is that? He said, you will write only if you understand the shloka.
Yeah.
So he bought time that way. But Vyasamuni is also the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, actually. That's why he could compile all these shastras. So he started speaking and Ganeshji started writing. Vyasji was fast, Ganeshji was fast as well, writing. And understanding and writing was very quick. But ultimately what happened was, Ganeshji's, when he was writing, his pen broke. But Vyasji was constantly speaking the Mahabharata. So he could not stop writing. He had to continue writing. So he took off one of his tooth, dipped in the ink and started writing. That's why he lost one of his tooth. And that's why he's called Ekadanta now, because he doesn't have one of his tooth. It's a very nice pastime in Bhagavad Purana about Ganeshji as well.
Thank you, Prabhu.
When you say that it was being recited,
What was being recited?
Before Vyasa also, the Vedas were being recited.
Who's
Smita.
speaking? Yes,
Smita.
Smita. Yes, Smita. Yes.
So, who was saying it, and how did he hear it? Like, when you say it was before, when the Vedas were being recited even before Vyasa.
Okay. So who was saying those Vedas, right?
Yeah, Brahman.
It was Lord
Yes.
Vishnu who was reciting these Vedas.
Okay.
Yeah. That is also mentioned in the Shastras, that who was reciting? It was Lord Krishna, who was in the form of Lord Vishnu, reciting the Vedas, and Vyasmuni was writing.
Prabhuji, I have a question as well.
Yes.
How come Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, these under the Puran in 3 sections, they came under Simriti? Because are they like writing about God, or they, like, how come like these 3 gods come under?
So Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they did not write the Puranas. Vyasamuni wrote the Puranas.
Yeah.
Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are considered to be in the mode of Sattva, Rajas, and Tama. So they come under that nature. So that's why there are three different Puranas. These Puranas describe about three different natures. So one is Rajas, which is Brahma's Brahma Purana, as to what you should be doing, the way of life should be if you are in that mode. Then there is Sattvic mode, which is Vishnu's mode, which is more of a maintainer. Brahma is the creator of this Srishti. Vishnu is the
Okay.
maintainer of this Srishti. So he's in the Sattvic mode. So that Purana, all the Vishnu Puranas explain the mode of Sattvic nature. And then there is Tamas, which is destruction, which is Lord Shiva's area. So all the Shiv Puranas, all they are in that area. So six Puranas for each different nature.
Okay.
So how do we know that there are 6 Puranas for each? Why can't, I mean, where is it written?
Oh, there are Puranas. There are valid Puranas which we have, 18 Puranas, six each. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva Puranas. So they are there. All these 3 Puranas, all these 18 Puranas there.
Okay.
Yeah. They've been archived nicely, I think, by some authorities in India as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And they don't change. So if you see the scriptures, now someone might be translating Bhagavad Gita, someone might be interpreting Bhagavad Gita in a different way, but the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita never change. They don't change. They're same. And they are same since the beginning. So since it was written. Even if there are different
So
authors,
these
as we say.
Puranas are do they exist physically? Like what was literally written, those books are still there, the original ones?
Yes. Some of them are there, but
Okay.
some of them were burnt.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had so many invasions in our
Okay.
country, So there are quite a few which are still
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay. And when where are they kept? Any idea?
We have archive, archives, Indian archives. I think
Okay. All right.
there are archives from the government which are maintained, and there are some private
Okay.
archives as well. So I think there are organizations who maintain all the shastras. So supported by
Okay.
government.
Okay.
In
Thank you.
terms,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who was that? It was Tina, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
Let me understand one fact. Like in all our previous episode of typical Ramayana Mahabharata, we have seen the kids are being sent to the Rishi Munis for learning some education system, and that was a part of the Shastras and Vedas and Puranas they used to taught. Is this the what they whole read through and understood the whole? Is it?
Sorry, didn't understand your question, Prashant.
Uh, the way we have brought up and we have actually grown up in last many years, like we have seen in Ramayana Mahabharata, the Lavankush and all those kids are being to sent to the Rishi Munis for the studies basically. So
Yes.
they used to taught these 6 Puranas and Vedas, all those things.
Yes.
So are
They
they
were
part of their
yes.
studies?
They were studying Vedas and scriptures. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Because we are being getting fed up with the basic 6 subjects in a year.
Yeah. So what if you see the different ashrama?
Yep.
Varna and ashrama, basically this is how Vedic society used to run. So if you see the different ashrama is you have brahmacharya ashram, then you have grahastha ashram, you have varnashram, and then you have sannyas ashram. So these are the 4 ashramas. So they are all divided into 25 years in terms of Kali Yuga, if you see.
Mhm.
Previous yugas they were living more because they had better lifestyle and better eating habits and better consciousness. So the consciousness has degraded, so the number of years also degraded. So as per Kali Yuga, if you consider 100 years, which is also difficult to live. But 100 years, if you take a lifespan, and every 25 years your ashrama changes. So this was even followed in Kali Yuga and still being followed in Gurukula in India as well. There are many Gurukulas which are running with that kind of a system, which is ashrama system. So 0 to 25 years of age, a person would be in a brahmacharya ashram. So so mainly the boys, if you consider, they would live in Gurukul under the guidance of a guru. 0 to 25, it will be purely their study age, and they will be brahmacharis, proper brahmacharis. They will not be indulging into the any affairs with an opposite sex. So that is the way of life, and from 25 onwards they can marry and enter into a grahastha ashram till 50. So 0 to 25 was the study age, and at that time there won't be any distractions when they go to Gurukul. That's why they'll be away from their parents, away from everyone, and they will be only focusing on their studies. And if you go back to the previous yugas, the paper, the writing, everything came back later, came all later. Previously there was no writing. The guru will say and they will memorize. That was the kind of intelligence and buddhi they had. But because our consciousness and our intelligence has degraded, we have paper and lots of problems after the paper came in, the cutting trees and things like that, a lot of other issues. So that's a different thing altogether. But this was not the way things were studied. Students will study, go to the guru, hear, and they will memorize. And that is why there is Shruti and Smriti. So if you see the rishis also, they will hear and they will remember. So whatever they heard, they wrote. Whatever they remembered and realized, they wrote. So whatever they heard directly were Vedas. Whatever they heard, memorized, and they practiced and experienced and realized, they wrote as Puranas. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Because we cannot understand this, that how can these be real, doesn't mean it is real. Sorry, doesn't mean it is not real. So if what we believe in written, is it written somewhere?
Yes, that we always look for evidence. Yeah, evidence.
Is there a paper? The paper was not there. Where will they write? So the last scriptures you can go back, if you see, have you heard about Bhrigu Rishi?
Bhrigu.
Yeah, have you heard about Bhrigu?
Yes.
Yes.
So Bhrigu was a rishi who would forecast, was an astrologer. So even today, you have Bhrigu Rishi's scriptures. They were written on leaves. So those scriptures depend on your gotra, on your this, on your that they can tell about you, your past, present, and future, everything. So every person,
It is known as Bhrigu Shastra, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, correct. So even if you go today in some places, I don't know where, I don't know exactly, but this is the understanding that there are still some centers where they have preserved those shastras, and anyone from that gotra or anyone he goes there, he can find out everything about his kula, his gotra, and everything about himself is written there. So this is the kind of shastras are there, written also on leaflets, but there was no paper. So there is no point of writings. So this has come back from that Shruti. So all this what we are reading in Bhagavad Gita, it is from the Shruti and the Smriti, which was then written because the knowledge would have been lost. So originally they did not write anything because they could memorize.
Because their consciousness was very high.
Intelligence was very high, consciousness was very high. There's a lot of purity in absorbing things. Now, at the moment, if we try to do one shloka of Bhagavad Gita, to memorize that shloka, forget about understanding. one shloka, at least you will need about 50 to 60 recitations of that shloka. Only then you will be able to pick up a few words. Because there are a lot of distractions. A lot of distractions. The mind is not stable. A lot of distractions. It's hard to memorize. Forget about realizing. Did I answer your question, Prashant?
Yes, very well.
Any other question or comments? Okay, so if not, we'll end our discussion here. We'll continue from verse 2 in our next discussion next week. What I would recommend is you can read the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, which is there in the same link. Just before the chapter 1, you'll see introduction. So if you read the introduction, you'll find a lot of facts, a lot of background, which will help you in reading Bhagavad Gita further. And 1.1 verse, you can try and memorize. It's a very good shloka. Basically, Bhagavad Gita is an answer to that shloka, to that question of Dhritarashtra. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone.